Good morning once again, students. A warm welcome to you once again in the second semester. I hope that you all are fine and doing well. And I hope you're also happy to come back in the second semester and learn the interesting chapters that we have in computer, isn't it? So, as we were studying chapter number 8, Visual Basics, we are here in the third part of this chapter. And you're continuing the third part, and you also can call it the last part of this chapter. And that is our Visual Basics. We've learned that it is a programming language that's a window based programming language, and it is very useful and helpful for us to use this in graphics. And what is a programming language? Basically, we also learned that it's a program is a set of instructions given to computer to perform a task. In Visual Basics, we've got different components, the tools that are available, title bars, then the programming modes that we learned in the first period itself for this chapter, how we can create new projects. So in this part, what we'll do is we'll quickly look at the topics to cover. We'll be learning the code of an event today, how we can execute or debug a project, once we write a project or make a project, how we can save this and what we've created, how we can open it. And last, developing a VB application. How can we develop it? All these we'll be learning today. Let's quickly get to the first part of our topic today. That's code for an event. So code is nothing but a set of instructions or program instructions that we write or give to the computer so that when we run, an output is generated. So just to simplify this and understand this in a better manner, what we can do is we can learn this through an example. So code is what we'll write for one of the examples that we're seeing now. We'll try to calculate the sum of two numbers. So it's the easiest, what you can see, an example that we can understand of how we can execute a project. So sum of two numbers is basically, we can take an example like two numbers, 2 and 3. If you want to add these, so what do you need? You need two numbers exactly. First is you need the first number. Second, you need another number. Addition is the operation we'll perform on it. And third number will be the output or the answer to what we've written, right? Similarly, this concept works for our applications too. The one that we write now, the code that we write, we'll understand the background of it. So what all do you require firstly? What you do first is simply you open the Visual Basic and create a new Windows Form application project. So when you click on the new Windows Form application project, a blank form 1, that's your first form, a blank screen will appear. What do you do there? We have different tools available as we studied in the previous period. What we can do is we can create a form for adding numbers here. That's what we're going to do, right? So what we do is, for that, we need three things as mentioned. We need three labels, three boxes. We need a first number, a second number, and the output or our answer, known as the last number. We need three text boxes wherein you'll type or give your input and the output will be generated in the third box. A button is used to submit whatever you've given as an input to result in an output, right? So this is a simple example. When we proceed ahead, the first two steps that we did was to accept these three things. What all we needed were labels, text boxes, and a button. Once we add this, we have different controls, their properties, and the value they hold. So we have three labels as mentioned. The properties that they will have will be the name and the text. Name is in the form of text. That's label 1, and you enter the first number. That's in your text box. Similarly for the second, the third, and that will be our first number to enter, second number to enter, and the output will be in the third label. So third heading will be for your output generated. That's your result of your addition. Button, as mentioned, will again be in the form of text, and we calculate this. So what are we going to calculate? That is our number 1 plus number 2. That will result in, when you click on the button, this will calculate and give you the output. So our name will be calculate for this. There will be 3 text boxes in the form, their properties will be name. There will be 3 text box numbers 1, 2 and 3, or the labels we've given for the numbers to input 1, the second number to input, and the result for the third output. That was clearly shown in this picture. So first number you type in here, the second number you will type in here. Label is your heading, so you write it, your number here, the second number will be here, addition will be here. That's your third text box. Now simply what you see in the step number 4, once we've given all this information in the form, next step we see is changing control properties and writing the code. Now by default a code is generated usually, and this code is something that is predefined. Now we want an output for sum of two numbers, so we need to make slight changes in the code section or in the program that is given there. What we do in step number 4 is we now write the procedure for click event on the button. So whatever the run or the click event we're going to write, we'll write a program for it so that our output is generated and a program gives us the result that we want. What do you do now is you double click on the button 1 control. What will that do? That will simply open the code window displaying the procedure. Button 1 is the name of the control and click is the event. Now button 1 is what you'll click on, and when you click on it there will be an action triggered. So the program will run when you click on this event. So click is the event and button 1 is the name of your control. As we know, the very first thing required is the control, because to have a trigger for an action you always need a control first. What do you see in the next step is you start typing in. Now this is an example I've written this. If you see in your page number, I'll just let you know on which page this is. If you have your textbooks along with you, if you refer to page number 102, you will see that to the top this program picture has been given as a screenshot from the system. So to elaborate it, to make it look a little more clear, I've written this here for you to show that when you double click on your section of code, this screen opens wherein by default a program is written. Now what you see here, by default the contents of the text box are taken as string. So it's always in the form of string. But what are we doing here? Right, we are accepting two numbers to give an output as a result. So we need it in the form of numbers and not in the form of string, because that will not give us the output that we require. Now how do I convert this string into a number? In my program, I simply go in this section that you see in the main section where that will execute. I will change this text into val. So instead of string, I will write val. Now what does val mean? Val function does nothing, but it simply converts your string input into a number. So whatever you've entered will no longer be in the form of string, you will be typing in numbers. Whatever you give as an instruction, this function will change this into a number. So what you write here will be val, your text box 1.text. So whatever you type, maybe number 2 as an example, or number 3, addition of this will be given here. So val is the function which is very, very important that you need to take care of when you're typing in numbers or you are giving an input as numbers. Now once you make changes to this code window, this section of yours, you simply can close the window. The code window once closed, now that we've made changes, this will not do nothing but get to the next screen. Now first we typed in our code, we accepted values, we created our form, we gave the submit instructions. Now that we've entered the code, we've made changes to accept input. Now we need the output for it. Before I get the output, I need to check everything that I've written is correct or not, isn't it? Right. So for this, what we do is we press the F5 function key. This is from your keypad. From your keyboard, when you enter or press the F5 function key, after that, you see something known as debug here. When you click on this, you start on the debugging option. So there is a play kind of an icon known as start debugging icon. That is on your toolbar here. Once you get it from your toolbar and you click on this, the next step that you have is you clicking on the menu bar. What you do is first to key in F5 function key. After clicking in F5, you start debugging. You see a debugging option here from your toolbar. Once you click on that, you click on the menu bar on top. You go on debug. When you click on debug, it gives you an option to start. When you start debugging, this will check if there are any errors because this is our phase of execution. This is the last phase of execution where we check if anything is gone wrong, if our program is written correctly, our codes are correct. If there's no errors generated, you will simply create it, and when this above project is created, the form gets displayed on the screen. So whatever form details we have, whatever we need to enter will come up on the screen, and where you enter the values and the result will appear. So this screen will appear. That's your form wherein you type the first number. So in this example they've given us as 15. Then it will tell you to type in the second number in the text box. That is 45. The output that will be generated when you click on submit, the answer given will be the sum of two numbers is equal to 60. That is the addition of these two numbers. Alright. So that is what simply happens when we use the run option. So you debug, you check if there are any errors. If not, when you run, the blank screen appears wherein now you have all your program written and the result will be obtained. This was a simple example of addition of two numbers. Now that we know how we can add this, how we can debug, we need to also know how to save this, isn't it? Right. This is a simple procedure like all others that we do. Any project that we type in or create, you simply click on File. That's your first option. So you click on File here. Next that you click will be Save Form As. Dialog box will appear. Then there are options available. You can type in your name. You can change whatever name you want to. You can choose the location or path. You can give the path where it needs to be saved, where you want it to be. And then click on the Save button. This will save your project exactly the way you've created it. Isn't it simple to save a project? Yes. Now that I've created this, there are possibilities I again want to go and check everything I've created. After a span of time, I want to show this to somebody. I want to go and check this myself. How do I open an existing one? So this topic is to show. I again go on file, that's to your top. Next option you see is open project. So this is an existing project created, just like the sum of two numbers that you've just made. Once you click on this, select the required project and click on open. So do you see an open one? So when you click on open project, you have the list of all the projects you've created. Now there was one list created, one project created here. When you click on this, it gives you an option to open. So you click on this open icon and an existing project that you've created can be viewed. So this is a simple procedure of opening an existing project that you've made. Now the last topic, or you can say it's like a summary of whatever you've learned so far. That is developing a VB application. How can you develop or create a Visual Basic application? The three major steps included are: first you design, then you set the properties of control, and the third is to set the property value. So you assign values at last. So first you design the interface, then you set the properties of the controls, and the third and the last step is to set the property values. What do you do in the first step or the first mode is first you select the Windows application form, you open the Visual Basic project and you create a new project. You add the actions or controls to your form. These are the two steps involved in designing your interface or project. Now you need to insert a control to your form, because without the control, the form is blank and you do not do anything, you have nothing on it. It's without any use, right? It also contains two steps. What you do, you drag the controls and drop it into the form. You have tools available. Then what you do is you reposition and size the controls as desired. Wherever you want to place it and resize the controls, that is in your hand. How you want to change this, how you want to make it appear visually. These are the steps in your first section. Next is you set the properties of controls. Now that I've assigned the controls, I need to assign the properties, right? What steps are included? You select the control of the form. Now you have to have, or you need to click the desired property of the property window. So you click on the desired property from the properties window you have available. You can change a lot of things as you studied earlier. In your properties window, you have a lot of controls available, right? You must have seen, you can have a lot of applications available if you refer to the previous period. And the third part you have is to set the property value. What do you do in the property value? There are steps available, right? Now that I have this property set, I double click on the control on the form. I type in my code, type the required statements in the event procedure, write my event procedure, click on save. Now once I'm done with typing my project, I will execute. After this, I'll save this first. I'll save my project, I'll rename this if required. I want to make changes or give my specific name. Then I debug and run the application by pressing F5. What will happen? It will check if there are any errors or is it running smoothly. If there are any errors, what you do at last, you again go back to your application, check in your project whatever has gone wrong, make changes to it accordingly and run it again. So these were the simple steps of developing your VB application. So there's simple ways wherein you first open your Visual Basic application, you create a form, you open it, you add controls to it, you reposition it, Once you add that, what you do is you go to your properties window, add properties or set properties of control. At last, you add statements or you make amendments to the code that is given. At last, you save your project, you run this, and check if there's any bugs or if there's any changes to be made, any errors. If not, we have made or we have created a project successfully. I hope you found this chapter interesting. With this, we finish our eighth chapter. In the next period, I will share the notes with you. I would request you to go through the chapter again. If you have any doubts, you can approach me anytime. And if anything, I will be happy to help you. A very good morning once again, and thank you so much for attending the period. Have a good day, children. Bye bye.